guys, welcome back to my channel. So today I have another ambitious meal prep to share with you. Last week went so smoothly having lunches and parts of my dinners prepped, so I'm going to do it again this week. So let's get into the video. As always, I am starting my prep off by doing some basic prep. This includes dicing up veggies I will need for this meal prep and also for other meals through the week. I have some red and green bell peppers and onion, some mushrooms. Now, I'm not a huge fan of mushrooms, but they are really rich in vitamins and minerals. It's like vitamin B, vitamin D, also potassium, which is really important on a keto diet. So when I use mushrooms, I do prefer to dice them up pretty finely so I don't taste them. It's actually not even the taste, it's the texture of mushrooms I don't like. So when they're diced up like this, I can't even taste them. So if you guys are new here, my name is Jess. I have been living the keto lifestyle for about 6 months now. Meal prepping is something that I have done for many years. Since I work outside the home, it just makes life so much easier for me. It's always been something that has kept me on track no matter what I am doing in life. So on my channel, you'll also find recipes, what I eat videos, grocery hauls, and much more. So if you're not subscribed, I hope you will take a moment to do so and also hit that notification bell so you will be notified when I upload videos. So the last part of the basic prepping is to always grate some cheese. I like to have already shredded cheese in my refrigerator so I don't have to do it through the week. This just saves so much time. So I have some Colby Jack and some pepper jack cheese that I am grating up this week. Okay, so now on to the meals for the week. Make sure you check out the description box to find links to recipes that I am going to mention in this video. So I have been craving French toast and pancakes this week. I don't know what it is. I think it's actually the maple syrup. I have no idea. Anyway, so I made this when I first started keto and I completely forgot about it, and that is an egg loaf. So in my bowl here, I am combining 8 ounces of cream cheese and make sure it was softened a little bit, 8 eggs, 4 tablespoons of butter, 6 tablespoons of coconut flour, and 1 teaspoon of vanilla, 1 teaspoon of baking powder, and then some cinnamon. I don't really measure my cinnamon, never do, but if I had to guess, I would say I use about 2 teaspoons of cinnamon. You want to mix this really well, and then you pour it into a loaf pan that has been lined with parchment paper. Make sure you line it with some sort of paper. You want to allow this mixture to sit in the pan for probably about 10 minutes before putting it in the oven. Anytime you're working with coconut flour, it's really good idea to let the mixture rest to allow that coconut flour to absorb the other ingredients. It works differently than almond flour, and then also, just for pretty much any other like flour, it works a lot differently than that. So this is going to go into a 350-degree oven for 45 minutes. And this is what it'll look like when it's all done, just a little bit brown on top. And I will let this cool completely before I use it. The way I do like to eat this is I like to cut it into slices, saute it up in some butter in a skillet, and then top it with a keto-friendly syrup. So stay tuned next week for my what I eat videos, and you'll see how I make this into French toast. So for a lunch option this week, I am making meatloaf and cheesy cauliflower rice. It is cold, stormy. We're supposed to get some snow next week. I wanted some comfort food for lunch. So for the meatloaf, I am taking a pound of grass-fed beef, and to that I'm adding in a half of a cup of crushed pork rinds. I keep my crushed pork rinds in the freezer so they stay fresh. This is the last of my pork rinds. I'm going to have to make some more later in the week. I'm adding in also 1 egg, a 1/4 cup of tomato sauce, a half of a cup of grated Parmesan, salt, pepper, parsley, garlic powder, onion powder, diced onion, diced bell peppers, and some diced up mushrooms. So all of that is going in there. I'm going to mix it together. I always find the best way to mix meatloaf is with my hands. So I'm going to make sure everything is all nice and incorporated. Since I'm using my one and only loaf pan for the egg loaf, I am using these dishes for the meatloaf. So I picked these up at the store the other day, like on super clearance because they were from Christmas. They're like little mini pie pans. I think they're adorable. So I'm going to put these in two different, split the meatloaf in between these 2 dishes. It will cook faster this way too. So this is going into a 350-degree oven for 45 minutes. Once it's done, taking it out of the oven, and I'm going to add on a little bit of Monterey Jack cheese and just allow that to melt while I'm finishing up the rest of my meal prep and while these cool. So while the meatloaf is cooling, I'm going to make the cheesy cauliflower rice that I'll have as a side dish to this. So I already steamed the cauliflower in the microwave. And to the steamed cauliflower, I am adding in some Colby Jack cheese, some garlic powder, onion powder, some salt. I'm going to give that a good stir. And you could get fancy with this. I've done it before, added in some cream cheese, some heavy cream to make it more of a creamy, cheesy cauliflower, but I'm just keeping it super simple this week. So this is all I'm doing with my cauliflower rice. So and now that the meatloaf has cooled completely, I'm going to cut each of these in half and place it in one of my meal prep containers. I always have the meal prep containers that I use linked below in the description box. And I'm going to add in some of the cheesy cauliflower rice, and there you go. Lunch for the week is complete. So when I eat this, I will add in some sugar-free ketchup, and then this will be a perfect filling lunch. I'm also going to incorporate leftovers into my lunches for the week, so I'll have this plus any leftovers, and my lunches are complete for the entire week. So now that lunch is ready for the week, I'm going to move on to a couple of snacks that I can grab and go as needed. Since I've been on keto, I have yet to make any fat bombs. I found a recipe for butter pecan fat bombs that sounded amazing, and I had all the ingredients on hand. So first thing I need to do is roughly chop up a half of a cup of pecans. So I'm going to put those pecans in the bottom of some silicone molds. In the recipe I was following, they used a small square mold that had like 12 mini squares in it. So I figured like 8 regular size muffin cups would work. So in a saucepan, I am combining a quarter cup of butter, a quarter cup of coconut oil, and a quarter cup of coconut butter. I get the coconut oil and coconut butter at my local grocery outlet, but I'm sure you can find them on Amazon if you can't find them in your stores. I will see if I can find the ones that I use and link them below, or any sort of other coconut oil and coconut butter that I can find. I will link them for you. Once everything has melted, you want to add in a half of a teaspoon of vanilla, and 1/8 of a teaspoon of salt, and 7 drops of liquid sweetener. I am using monk fruit sweetener, and it says on there the sweetener is optional. I went ahead and added it in since I didn't know, how sweet these would be. So once that mixture is all done, you're going to pour the heated mixture over the pecans as evenly as possible. These will go into the freezer for at least 30 minutes, and this is how they came out. They came out of the molds really super easily. I tried them and they were a little bit salty, but then I realized I used salted butter. So I would suggest if you're using salted butter, leave out the added salt. But other than that, they tasted fantastic. I mean, just the butter pecan, yum. It was so good, you guys. So one of my favorite recipes out of the Southern Keto Cookbook is her cinnamon muffins. I will link the cookbook down below. Again, it's one of my favorite cookbooks. It's so good. So in a small bowl, I am combining some almond flour, some baking powder, and some cinnamon. I'm going to stir that up, set it aside. And then in the other bowl, medium-sized bowl, I'm whisking together eggs, some monk fruit sweetener, some liquid monk fruit sweetener, some vanilla extract, some butter, heavy cream, and some cinnamon. So I'm going to add the dry to the wet, mix it well. This mixture makes 12 muffins. I believe in the book, I'm not sure what, it does depend on your ingredients that you use, but I believe in the book it says it's 2.9 net carbs, but that's for 2 muffins. 2 muffins is a serving size. But again, plug in your own ingredients into the Carb Manager or whatever kind of app that you use to make sure that your ingredients, what they come out to for the carb count. These are going into a 350 degree oven for 14 minutes. And you guys, look at these muffins. They taste fabulous. I highly recommend this cookbook. So to help get dinner on the table faster this week, after I get home from work, I leave the house at 7 a.m. I get home about 5:15. So I am out of the house for a long time. So I love to do some dinner prep. So one of the dinners this week that I'm going to be having is the Just Like the Real Thing lasagna off the Peace, Love, and Low Carb website. It will be linked down below. So the first part I'm going to prep is the meat sauce. So in a pot, I am browning up some beef and some sausage. And you don't have, I just prefer to do beef and sausage. I like the flavor of it. Plus I had some on hand. So once the meat is browned, I am going to add in some of that diced onion that I did earlier, some minced garlic, some salt, some pepper, a 28-ounce can of crushed tomatoes, a 6-ounce can of tomato paste, some Italian herbs, some garlic powder, onion powder, and some red pepper flakes. I love to add red pepper flakes to my tomato sauces. It just brings out just this nice spicy flavor. And so while that is simmering, I'm going to work on the noodle part of the lasagna. So in a bowl, you want to cream together 4 ounces of cream cheese and 2 eggs. Once that is creamed together nice and everything's all creamed up, make sure your cream cheese is a little bit softened, by the way. Add in a 1/4 cup of Parmesan cheese, and this is the green can. Anytime I say grated Parmesan, it's the green can Parmesan cheese. Some Italian herbs, some garlic powder, and onion powder. You want to mix that well, and then you're going to fold in 1 1/4 cup of shredded mozzarella cheese. So you want to mix that really good, and then you want to pour this mixture into a greased 13 by 9 baking dish. Make sure it's greased really well. And then this is going into a 375-degree oven for 25 minutes. Once it's out of the oven, you want to let it cool completely before you cut it up. And then once it's cooled, and I'm going to cut this into 3 pieces. So as you can see, they're perfectly the right shape for a loaf pan. That's what I make this lasagna in, is in the loaf pan, and these fit perfectly. So I'm going to store this in I'm just going to wrap it up in some parchment paper, store it in a Ziploc bag. And then the sauce I'm going to store in these plastic containers, and it's going into the refrigerator. And you guys, this is one of my favorite keto recipes, the lasagna. It is so good. Stay tuned for my What's for Dinner video, and you will see how this all comes together. But having this part of the prep done, dinner is going to come together so quickly. Another dinner I'm having this week is going to be pizza. So I'm going to go ahead and prep the fathead dough pizza crust. So again, that way I can come home from work and they're already done, and I just have to throw the toppings on, throw it in the oven, and bam, ready to go. So in my bowl here, I am combining 3/4 of a cup of almond flour, and then some garlic and onion powder, some Italian seasonings, and also some red pepper flakes. Going to stir that up, set it aside. And also I'm going to beat 1 egg and set that aside as well. And then in my other bowl, I have 1 1/2 cups of shredded mozzarella cheese and also 2 tablespoons of cream cheese. So the cheeses are going to go in the microwave for 1 minute. And then this is what it looks like after a minute. You're going to stir that really well, put it back in the microwave for another 30 seconds, and then pull that out of the microwave, stir it, and then we're going to add in the almond flour mixture. Stir that a little bit and then add in your egg. I like to do the almond flour mixture first, because the cheese is super hot. I'm always afraid the egg is going to get scrambled a little bit, so I always like to have that buffer by adding in the almond flour first. So I'm going to add in the egg, stir that really well, and really you have to kind of use your hands. That's what I did. So I'm going to split this dough up into 2 pieces and make 2 round pan pizzas. So make sure your pans are lined with parchment paper. I have even used non-stick pans and they stick if you don't use parchment paper. So use parchment paper, spread it out evenly, and then you want to poke the crust with a fork. Poke it a lot. That way it keeps it from bubbling up in the oven. And then these are going to go into a 425-degree oven for 8 minutes. And then these are the completed crusts. I will store these in a Ziploc bag in the fridge until the night that I have it for dinner. Okay, so we're almost done, you guys. If you made it this far in the video, see if you can find a pepper emoji and put it in the comment section. So the last thing I'm going to make is a Chipotle sauce. I'll be using this sauce for an omelet recipe in the week, and also for some roasted chicken thighs I'll be having for dinner one day this week. So in my little blender cup here, I'm adding in 1 can of Chipotle peppers and adobo sauce, a 1/2 cup of sour cream, a 1/4 cup of mayo, some garlic powder, onion powder, and some cayenne pepper. So if I were you, I would start out with just 1/8 teaspoon of cayenne pepper if you're not used to really spicy sauces, or leave it out completely. I personally love spicy things, and so I usually add in about 1/2 teaspoon in this recipe. So blend it up, and there you go, a flavorful, creamy sauce that can be used for just about anything. If you need it, it comes out kind of thick, so if you need it kind of watered down a little bit, just add in some heavy cream, and that'll make it perfect. So again, stay tuned for my What's for Dinner video this week to see how I use it on the chicken. So thank you guys so much for taking time out of your day to watch my video. Leave me a comment down below and let me know what you are prepping for the week. And I'll see you guys tomorrow for my daily vlog and what I eat to lose weight on keto. Bye guys.